Hi everyone, welcome back. So today I want to show you my top favorite houseplants of 2019. I can't believe that 2019 is almost over. It's almost 2020. It feels like it was just January and now it's the end of December. So in 2019, I really got into houseplants and I started my Instagram. I started this YouTube channel. And so I wanted to just recap the year by showing you what some of my favorite houseplants are. Even though really I got all of my houseplants in 2019, so they're technically all my favorites, but some of them are a little bit extra special in my heart. Keep in mind that I am still a beginner, like houseplant owner, houseplant parent, so I don't really own like any super rare fussy houseplants. I'm not there yet, maybe in 2020, but right now the plants I really love are plants that are easy to take care of, that you can kind of neglect and they'll be okay, that aren't, you know, like crazy expensive, so that if I do accidentally kill one, I can just get another one. But yeah, so these are some of my favorites, but before we actually get into it, I want to show you an honorary mention. It's an honorary mention because I just got it. So if you remember, this is the oxalis that I unboxed in my Gabriella plant unboxing video just a few videos ago. But I feel like it finally kind of like acclimatized to my house. So now this is what it looks like, and it looks so much better. Right now I have it in an east facing window, actually just right off camera over there is usually where it lives. I might consider moving it to a south window because it's winter right now, but I feel like so far I really like where it's at. And I don't know, I've only had it for like less than a week, so it doesn't feel that fussy so far, but yeah, honorary mention. I don't know, maybe it'll become my favorite houseplants of 2020. So these aren't in any kind of particular order, but they're kind of in an order. So at number 5 is going to be my Philodendron Rio, also known as a Philodendron SilverStripe. So this particular plant I got at a local nursery here in Sacramento called The Secret Garden, but I actually have a second one that I got on Facebook a few months ago in a Facebook buy-sell trade group that's like just off camera over there. So these are really, really easy to take care of. They are a sport of the Philodendron Brazil that you see, you know, like everywhere at Lowe's or Home Depot, and the care is pretty much the same. So I do think this one probably would enjoy a little bit more light than the Philodendron Brazil, but I have this one in an east facing window. It's doing totally fine. This one I currently also have another room in an east facing window that's a little bit more shaded, so I do have a grow light that's kind of semi near it, but I don't think these require too much sunlight. And then I water it just like how I would water my pothos or my Brazil, which is I wait for it to fully dry out. So for this one, I usually wait maybe 10 days in between waterings, or every even like 14 days now that it's winter. I really let these dry out, and these are super drought tolerant, so they do really well. And that variegation is so freaking striking for a plant that is so easy to take care of. This is definitely one of those plants that I loved at first sight. The first time I saw it was on Gabriella Plants, their website. I've never been able to like score one for one of their restockings, but now I have 2, and I love it so much. This is a 6-inch pot. Hi. Okay, so coming in at number 4 is my Fiddly Fig. So I don't think I can even get this full thing in frame, but this is what it looks like. Okay, this was a bad idea. I'll put in some B-roll clips of it so you can actually see it, but I had such a freaking love-hate relationship with this plant. So obviously the fiddle leaf fig is, you know, a super popular houseplant. I feel like especially maybe like in 2018, 2019, like everyone has a fiddle leaf fig. And so when I first started getting into houseplants this summer, I really wanted one as well. But these can get kind of pricey, especially if they are pretty big. But I was at Home Depot, maybe in like, I would say, I think it was September. I was at Home Depot and I saw a bunch of them and they were on sale. But I was thinking about it and I was like, I heard they're kind of fussy. I don't know if I should like get one yet, because at that point I only owned like 3 or 4 houseplants. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for a fiddle leaf fig. So I passed. I didn't buy it. And then I went home. I regretted that decision for like a full week. So I decided that no, I'm going to go to Home Depot, and if it's still there, it's meant to be, and that's meant to be my fiddle leaf fig. So I go to Home Depot and there was one left. And it was this one. You can't see it anymore, but it was this one, and it was kind of rough looking, but it was still on sale, and I was like, it's on sale, it's the only one left, I have to have it. So I brought it home, and let me tell you, this plant hated me, and I like couldn't figure out why. I put it close-ish, like pulled back from a south window, and then it just like hated me, and it always looked sad and droopy. And about 2 weeks go by and I'm like, oh, the soil is still wet. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. So I decided that I was gonna go ahead and repot it because the plant was already unhappy with me, so why not? So I unpotted it and I realized that they had put it in a pot with no drainage hole. But here's the thing. It looks like the pot had drainage holes because when I lifted it from the bottom, I saw holes at the bottom. But then once I lifted the plant out of the pot, I realized that they had put a plastic liner inside of the pot that it was in, therefore blocking all of the drainage holes. What? So I'm really happy that I repotted it. And then I repotted it and it was like still super like kind of unhappy with me, but it looked a little bit better. And so then I got frustrated after maybe like a week after I repotted it, and it's still looking sad, and I was like, I shouldn't have bought a fiddle leaf fig. Like I shouldn't have bought one. Like I knew they were finicky, like ugh. And then I was like, ugh. So I moved it to a different room where it is right now, which is my bedroom, which is an east-facing window, which is technically like not as bright of lighting as pulled back from a south window. And I was like, whatever, it doesn't deserve a south-facing window. I put it here, and I swear to you, within like a week, maybe 2 weeks, I saw a new leaf. And I was like, what the heck? Are my eyes deceiving me? Is it a new leaf? Is this plant straight up mocking me? Because I had babied over it for like a month, and I gave it the best window, and I repotted it, and nothing. And I finally kicked it to a different room, and I was like, and all of a sudden there were new leaves. And then maybe a week go by, and I saw that there were now 2 new leaves. And then a few more days go by, and then I saw there were 3 new leaves. If you want to see the whole story unfold on my Instagram stories, there is a highlight that says fiddle leaf fig, and it'll show you kind of like me discovering each new leaf. But here are the 3 new leaves. Let me attempt to pick it up. Sorry, I have fairy lights on it for Christmas. Do you see this? Okay, hold on. Okay, why did I think this was a good idea? Okay, I'm gonna have to hold it at a weird angle. So do you see that new leaf that's covering my face? That's a new leaf. This one over here, that's leaf number 2. And this one, this baby one right there, that's leaf number 1. It's that one right there. Do you see it? Do you see it? I need 2 hands to hold this pot. So that was a terrible idea. But there's 3 new leaves. One of the 3 of the new leaves is like humongous, like bigger than my hand. So I guess it does like me. Honestly, I think a lot of it that has to do with the soil mixture that I repotted in, which I do have a video on, so if you want to watch it, I'll link it. But yeah, so now it's one of my favorite plants of 2019, even though we had a rocky start, but now it's one of my favorites. Coming in at number 3 is a plant that I actually did not like when I first saw it, and that would be the variegated, the variegated string of hearts. So when I saw this plant on Instagram, I was like, not really feeling it. Don't understand what all the fuss is about. Like, it's alright, but like, you know? And then they had it in stock at my local nursery, Green Acres. I saw a bunch of them and I kind of bought one because they were kind of hard to find, and I got really excited that I was able to find one locally, that I just bought it. I was like, I don't really even like it that much, but why not? It's like here, it wasn't that expensive. I got it at a really good price. I think I only paid like $7 for this variegated string of hearts, which like on the internet you would easily be paying like $20 for a pot this size, you know? And so I was like, I don't want to like miss this opportunity to buy a plant that's really hard to find. I'll just buy it. It's fine. Like if I ended up hating it, like maybe I could sell it or whatever. Like it's not that big of a deal. And then I got it home and then it started doing really well. And so I think the key to my heart is just plants that are really good growers, because basically when I got it, none of the strands were strands yet. They were all just kind of like clusters of hearts on top of the soil. Like it was obviously rooted, but there were no like long trails yet. And since I've got it home, this is now a full trail, and this one, and this one, and then these are starting to trail on this side as well. So it's a really good grower. I feel like they grow really fast. I do give this one quite a bit of light, like a lot of light. It sits at it was sitting pulled back from a south window for a really long time, but then I had to move a bunch of stuff, so now it's sitting directly under a grow light, and it's doing really well still. I do think it was doing better pulled back from a south window, because the gap between the hearts right here is, do you see, like this one is like a little bit longer than the other previous trail, so I do think it was happier pulled back from a south window, but this is the light I have for it right now, and it'll just have to do. I also do think that these are pretty easy to care for. I water mine really just based on lifting the pot and feeling how heavy it is. I don't think that you need to water them really all that often. You could also check and feel some of the leaves closer to the base to see if they still feel plump or not. But yeah, I feel like light is really important, and I feel like you could water these much less than you think and they'll be okay. Okay, almost done. Number 2. So my number 2 favorite houseplants is a Philodendron SilverStripe. This is one of those plants that like I still can't believe I own this plant. So I got this plant I think at the end of October, so I was really obsessed with it, but I like really didn't want to spend like almost $100 on a plant that I don't know if I could even like keep alive. And so I wasn't gonna buy it like anytime soon, but it was at the very top of my wish list. This was my #1 wish list plant for a really, really long time. And I saw on a Facebook buy sell trade group that someone local was actually selling it for a really good price, and it was in driving distance from me. So I begged my brother to drive me to the city that she lived in, and I was able to pick it up locally. I actually have a vlog of me picking this up. It's the very first video on my channel, so I'll link it for you. And she put sphagnum moss on top of her plant. So I did repot it once I got home into my mix, but I ended up putting sphagnum moss on top of the soil as well, just because she had it, and I don't know, she said it like was better, so I didn't want to risk it with a plant that was like easily the most expensive plant I've bought. So yeah, since I've had it, this leaf is completely new, which is the best variegated leaf yet. And then right now there's a new baby. Do you see that? You see that leaf trying to come out? So there's going to be a new leaf very, very soon. So this plant, I water it like how I water most of my plants, is that I wait for the soil to completely dry out. I do have it in a clear plastic pot. As you can see right now, I just watered it, so the soil is wet. I just check it, wait till it's completely dry all the way. This plant actually doesn't like it definitely hates direct sunlight, and honestly I would categorize it as a medium light plant. It didn't love being near my south window, and now it's by an east window, and it's doing much better there. When I had it near south window, all the leaves were bent back like this, which is a signal that it was getting too much light. For a plant that looks like this, once again, I feel like it's really not that finicky. Besides that, like that first lighting issue that I had to figure out, so far it's been pretty smooth sailing. I do have it sitting like pretty close by to a humidifier, but I don't know if that's necessary. I think that it might just be like a cool added bonus for the plant. So yeah, this is my #2 plant of the year, a Philodendron Frickin'. Okay, drum roll. My #1 favorite houseplant of the year should be no surprise to anyone. That would be my Monstera deliciosa. It is Old Faithful. It grows so freaking well, and I love it so much. So actually, I got this Monstera the same day that I got my fiddle leaf fig from Home Depot. It had no fenestrations when I got it, and I think it was maybe like this tall. So I came home. It was actually doing like pretty well in the soil mixture that it came in. But I recently decided to repot it because I wanted to put a moss pole in, and let me tell you, since I've repotted it, oofed, I want to show you the roots. So it's still in a 6-inch pot, but it's gonna have to be repotted in the spring. I just watered it, so it's kind of heavy. Look at these monstrous roots. Isn't that crazy? And we already have a runaway root. And I repotted this at the beginning of December, and none of those roots were there at the beginning of December, let me tell you. So since I repotted it, it's been doing so well. And how I water this plant now that it has a moss pole is that I actually just put it in my shower, and I take my shower and I just basically like give it a good dosing, make sure I get the moss pole fully wet every time I water it. I had to move it recently. So this used to be near a south window and it was doing really well. It put out, I think this one. No, this one was the first fenestrated leaf it put out. My baby. And then it put out this leaf, which is even bigger. The second fenestrated leaf it put out, and then I had to move it. And so now it's by an east facing window, and since I moved it, the last few leaves that it's been putting out has been like quite small. Like this one, and I think another one, like this one is new. They're much smaller and they're not fenestrated, but they're also not coming from the same stems as these big ones with fenestrations. So I think it might just be, you know, prioritizing some of the other stems for now, which I'm fine with. And I do think it wants a little bit more light. I tried to give it a grow light, but I think the grow light was a little bit too close to it, because do you see, I think that's a little bit of burning from a grow light, like the tip of that one, this one. So I moved it a little bit further away from a grow light now, but I am going to try to find it a better window to sit in because it deserves it. It is currently trying to put out a new leaf right here, and this and that stem that it's coming out of is one of the stems for one of the bigger leaves, so I'm really hoping that this one comes out big and with some fenestrations. I think that by spring I'll be putting out like full big giant Monstera leaves, and I'm definitely gonna have to repot it pretty soon. Do you want to see the bottom? So yeah, I think I want to wait till maybe like March, or even maybe like late February when it stops being like so cold, and then I'm gonna have to upsize this a little bit. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite houseplant of 2019. It grows so well for me. It puts out maybe like one giant leaf a month, which, you know, is really quick for like plants. So yeah, overall, I'm just really like so happy that I found the houseplant community in 2019. I learned so much about plants and, you know, just like being able to take care of a small piece of nature. I've made a lot of houseplant friends, especially on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on there, give me a follow. Let's talk about some plants. But yeah, it has been, you know, such a learning experience, both, you know, learning about plants, but also learning about, you know, like making videos for YouTube and things like that. So I'm so glad you're here. So glad you're watching this. Yeah, if you like this, give it a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.